Ladies and gentlemen, Asian guy here, stop looking at the front door. If you are preparing for a physical raid, if you are building a bunker, if you are worried about jackbooted thugs coming to your house to take your silver eagles, you are fighting the last war. They are lying to you. The government doesn't need to break into your house to take your wealth anymore. They don't need guns. They don't need warrants. They don't even need to know where you keep your stack. All they need is a keystroke. This is not a drill. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a mathematical certainty. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how the silent seizure works, why it is already in motion, and what you can do about it before the window closes forever. Because here's the truth. The stadium is burning, and most stackers are still looking at the scoreboard. Let's talk about what's really happening. Everyone keeps bringing up 1933. Executive Order 6102, FDR, Gold Confiscation. The story you've been told 1,000 times. But nobody is telling you the truth about what actually happened. So let me break it down. In 1933, the government ordered Americans to turn in their gold. $20.67 per ounce. You had until May 1st to comply. After that, 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. But here's what they don't teach you in school. The confiscation wasn't about the metal, it was about the Fed. Under the gold standard, every dollar was a claim check on physical gold. The government couldn't just print money whenever it wanted. Gold was the handcuffs on the printing press. It was the anchor that limited monetary expansion. So what did they do? They took the gold from the people, broke the domestic link to the dollar, and immediately revalued gold from $20.67 to $35 per ounce, a 40% devaluation overnight. Do you understand what that means? They didn't just take your property, they stole your purchasing power. They seized the gold, cut the rope, and then inflated the currency. The people who complied got robbed twice, once at the door and once at the bank. That was the signal. Gold wasn't seized because they needed the metal. Gold was seized because it represented an exit from their system. It was freedom. It was a vote of no confidence, and they could not tolerate that. But here's the scary part. Today, in 2025, that playbook is obsolete. And if you're still preparing for a 1933-style raid, you are staring at the wrong threat. Let me ask you a question. Why would they come to your house? In 1933, they needed gold because the dollar was backed by gold. They needed the physical metal to control the monetary system. If you held gold, you held power over the currency. But today, the dollar is backed by nothing. It's a faith-based system. It's a weaponized IOU. They don't need your silver to back the currency because the currency isn't backed by anything. So what do they need? They need to stop you from exiting. That's the game. That's the only game. They need you inside the system, inside the digital fence. Because if you hold physical silver, you're outside their control. You can transact peer-to-peer. You can store value without permission. You can say no, and that terrifies them. But here's the difference between 1933 and now. In 1933, confiscation was loud. It was visible. It created outrage. People knew they were being robbed. There were protests. There was resistance. The government had to show its hand. Today, they've learned. Confiscation creates martyrs. Compliance creates silence. So they won't come for the metal. They'll come for the value. They'll let you keep your stack in your safe, in your vault, in your closet. But they will make it so expensive, so punitive, so legally dangerous to sell or use that you might as well be holding lead. Do you understand the difference? They don't need to take it. They just need to lock it. And that's exactly what's happening right now. This is the boiling frog strategy. This is the silent seizure. And it happens in 3 phases. Phase 1, reporting thresholds. Right now, if you sell more than $600 in precious metals in a single transaction, the dealer is required to report it to the IRS on a 1099-B form. That's the law. But watch what's coming. They're lowering the threshold, first to 600, then to 400, eventually to 0. Every transaction, every sale, every transfer. Tracked, logged, reported. Why? Because they need visibility. They need to know who holds what. Not to raid you, but to tax you, to regulate you, to control the off-ramp. Phase 2, friction and delays. Well, let's say you want to sell your silver. Then you go to a dealer. You agree on a price. But now the dealer says, I need to verify your identity. I need to run a background check. I need to file a suspicious activity report because you're selling more than $5,000 worth. Suddenly, the transaction takes 3 days, a week, 2 weeks. And in that time, the price moves. The buyer walks. The deal dies. That's not an accident. That's friction. That's designed to make physical metals illiquid, to make them annoying, to make them not worth the hassle. And you have to ask yourself, why now? Phase 3, Windfall Taxes. Here's the big one. This is the knockout punch. Imagine silver goes to $100 an ounce. You bought at $25. That's a 400% gain. You're rich on paper. But when you go to sell, the government says, Congratulations. You just hit a windfall profit on a strategic commodity. We're taxing your gain at 80%. 80%. You keep the metal, you keep the coins, but you lose the value. They take 4 out of every $5 you made and they frame it as fairness, as preventing hoarding, as making sure the wealthy pay their share. And the media cheers. Do you see it now? You don't need a raid when you have a tax code. You don't need soldiers when you have accountants. You don't need violence when you have compliance. They let you keep the silver, but they take the freedom. And that's the net. That's digital encirclement. And it's already closing, but it gets worse. Because the end game isn't just taxes, it's Central Bank Digital Currencies, CBDCs. Let me explain how this works. Right now you can sell your silver for cash, for dollars, for paper. It's not perfect, but it's still somewhat private. It's still fungible. You can still move it. But when CBDCs roll out, every dollar becomes programmable. Every transaction becomes conditional. The government doesn't just see what you buy. They decide what you're allowed to buy. You want to sell your silver? Fine, but your CBDC wallet has a flag. Precious metals sale, subject to 72-hour review. Or, this wallet has been identified as holding non-compliance assets, spending restricted. They don't take your silver. They just make it so you can't convert it into anything useful. You're holding $1 million in metal, but your digital wallet says 0. You're wealthy and broke at the same time. That's the trap. And here's the thing. Most people won't even notice. Because it happens gradually, because the temperature rises 1 degree at a time. Because by the time you realize you're being cooked, the door is already locked. The boiling frog doesn't jump, he just sits there. And that's exactly what they're counting on. Now you might be thinking, okay, AG, if they want to control silver so badly, why don't they just ban it? Great question. Because they can't. Silver is strategic. It's in missiles. It's in solar panels. It's in electric vehicles. It's in every piece of advanced technology that keeps the military, the grid, and the economy running. If they ban silver, they destroy industry. If they ban silver, they hand China and Russia a monopoly on critical materials. If they ban silver, they admit that the entire system is fragile. So they can't ban it, but they can bifurcate it. Here's what I mean. There will be 2 silver markets. The industrial market, tightly controlled, government-sanctioned, regulated. Corporations can buy it. Manufacturers can use it. No problem. And then there's the private market, the stacker market. That's where the friction lives. That's where the taxes hit. That's where the reporting requirements suffocate liquidity. You can own silver, but you can't easily sell it. You can hold it, but you can't freely use it. It's Schrodinger's wealth. It exists and it doesn't exist at the same time, and that's the paradox. Silver is too important to ban, but too dangerous to free. So they split the market, they control the industrial side, and they strangle the private side. And most people will never even realize it happened. Let me make this crystal clear. Silver is going to $100 an ounce. That's not a prediction. That's math. Demand is exploding. Supply is shrinking. Deficits are structural. Industrial use is accelerating. And every government on Earth is printing currency like there's no tomorrow. The price has to go up. It's physics. But here's the question nobody's asking. Will you keep the value? Because if you're holding silver in a system that taxes you at 80%, that tracks every transaction, that requires government permission to convert your metal into usable currency, then what did you really gain? You made 400% on paper, but you netted 20% after taxes, fees, and friction. Was it worth it? That's the silent seizure. They don't take your silver. They take your options. They don't confiscate your wealth. They confiscate your freedom to use it. And that's worse, because at least in 1933, people knew they were being robbed. They could see the enemy. They could resist. But today, you'll be robbed by a tax form, by a reporting requirement, by a compliance delay, and you'll be told it's for your own good. The system doesn't need to be violent anymore. It just needs to be inevitable. So what do? First, understand the game. This is not about protecting your stack from physical raids. This is about protecting your liquidity, your options, and your ability to exit the system when you need to. Second, don't just stack metal. Build relationships, find private buyers, create peer-to-peer networks, diversify your exits. Because when the digital fence closes, the only trades that matter are the ones that happen outside the system. Third, move fast. The window is closing. Every month, the reporting thresholds get lower. Every quarter, the tax proposals get more aggressive. Every year, the CBDC infrastructure gets more sophisticated. This is not a decade away. This is not 5 years away. This is happening now. And finally, remember this. Physical silver is freedom. But freedom is only valuable if you can use it, if you can move it, if you can convert it when you need to. The system knows this. That's why they're building the cage. Not around your house, around your wallet. The silent seizure is real. The digital encirclement is in motion, and the stadium is burning. Don't be the guy staring at the scoreboard, wondering what happened. Wake up, act, and protect your options before they disappear. This is Asian Guy, and I'll see you in the next one.